There is a version of you that doesn't exist anymore, and I think about that sometimes. The person you were before certain things happen. Before you learned to be careful, before you learned that trust could hurt, before you learned that wanting something too much could be dangerous, before you learned to hide parts of yourself because they weren't welcome. That version of you is still in there somewhere. I believe that. Buried under years of conditioning, under the armor you built, under all the times you told yourself it's fine when it wasn't fine, under all the times you swallowed your voice because speaking up felt too risky. That version of you is still alive, but you don't let them out anymore because you learned that the world doesn't always reward authenticity. Sometimes it punishes it. So you adapted, you became what was needed. You became the person who doesn't rock the boat, the person who doesn't ask for too much, the person who doesn't take up too much space, the person who makes everyone else comfortable, even if it means you're uncomfortable. And that adaptation, it saved you. It got you through. I'm not going to pretend it didn't, but it also cost you something. It cost you the part of yourself that was raw, the part that didn't know how to pretend, the part that felt everything fully, the part that believed you deserved to be seen. And now you're here, functioning, successful maybe, or at least surviving, but there is a quiet ache underneath everything, a sense that something is missing, that you're playing a role instead of living a life, that the person everyone knows isn't really you, that if they saw the real you, they'd leave. So you keep the mask on, you keep performing, you keep telling yourself that this is just what adulthood is. This is just what it means to be responsible. This is just how it is. But it's not. That's the lie. That's the chain. The belief that you have to be small to be safe. The belief that the real you is too much. The belief that if you let the mask slip, everything will fall apart. That's the energy I'm talking about. Not a demon with horns and a pitchfork, but the quiet voice that tells you to stay hidden. The voice that tells you that your desires are shameful, the voice that tells you that that you don't get what you want, the voice that tells you that this is as good as it gets. And you've been listening to that voice for so long that you forgot it was a voice. You think it's just reality. You think it's just the truth about who you are, but it's not. It's a story you were told, but by someone, by something, by a world that benefits from you staying small and predictable and easy to manage. And you internalized it so deeply that now you're the one telling yourself the story. You're the one holding the chain. You're the one keeping yourself in the cage. So, what would it mean to let that version of you out? Not at all once, not recklessly, but just a crack, just enough to feel what you've been suppressing, just to remember what it felt like to want something without immediately telling yourself why you can't have it, just enough to say one thing today that you really mean, even if it makes someone uncomfortable, even if it makes you uncomfortable. That's the work, not the grand gestures, not burning your life down, just small acts of honesty, small moments where you choose yourself instead of the mask, small rebellions against the voice that wants you to stay small because that voice is loud. But it's not stronger than you, it's just louder because you've been listening to it for so long. The version of you that never left, they're waiting, they're patient. They know you're not ready yet, but they also know that someday you will be. And on that day, they'll be right there, ready to live the life you were meant to live, not the one you settled for.